I will wait. And I need to tell you something. The Pipeline Boys. When I hear, let's see who's here. Now I want to fill you in on some. Hi, guys. Hi, everybody. You see, I have to tell you how I feel about certain things. And I am at the point where I don't listen to anybody's opinions at all. Because I listen to the statements that people who know give me. So, Ninchi, I don't listen to at all. I wouldn't be able to listen for 2 minutes, right? Because what I am looking for is the real information, not people's guesses. And the one term I don't like is, okay, there are two terms. Hey, how are you? Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. You know what? I will limit my activity now to my own channel. Hi, Krista. Only to my own channel, because I am done. I give everybody a chance, but I'm done. Yes, Janet. Welcome. Can you see my artwork in the back? Can you see it? No, you can't. Jeez, man. But you see, I did a little bit of decorating. And so this is the PLAIDS. Look, this is actually from my 1 month ago, what you call it, blackboard demonstration, right? There's PLAIDS. And I have added the tagline, so. I guess I'm in front of the camera now. Can you not see it? Oh my God. Hello from Holland. Hey, Danik, welcome. Thank you for showing up. Thank you. Wow. I've been to Amsterdam 20 years ago. And I've been to Rotterdam for 3 days. I think Netherlands is very, very good. A very neutral, even-tempered, peaceful. Well, people from Holland actually have told me it's not so good anymore. But my memory, you know what? My memory lives on. Hey, Bonnie. Everybody. Yeah, no, I know. That's why I said I've been to Rotterdam too. I know Amsterdam is a tourist trap. Listen, I learned that. Okay, I learned that from my friends over there. Why you think I mentioned? I also been to another city. Jeez, Leiden? No, I don't remember the name. 20 years ago, you know? Sorry, guys. I love that I have so many international people here. It is wonderful. You know what? No matter, thank you so much, Tammy. Because you know what? No matter what our native language is, no matter what types of lies we have been told as children, as we have all been told so many lies when we grew up, right? And about 30 years ago, I was asked in school, what is your definition of culture? And I said, culture is an excuse for stupid behavior. And of course, that was not accepted in class by my teacher, right? I was excellent in math and physics, but everything else I was really bad at. And my attention span was like close to zero if I'm not interested. If I'm interested in something, I get really, really obsessive, and obsessive by today's social standards, right? By what most people would judge me, you know. But I'm so happy about it now because I actually don't have half interests. I don't have to fake interests to have a conversation with people. I can just be like, okay, and move on to the next. And I don't think it's rude. I think the rudest thing that people do is to fake interest when they talk to somebody and waste somebody's time. That is my personal view of rudeness, when you are fake and deceptive with somebody. And the problem with that is, the biggest problem is you're deceptive, but you don't get even any benefit out of it. It's just because you listen to everybody who was insecure about their own lives, trying to turn you into the perfect child they can show off. And I was always passionate about certain things, but completely disinterested in others. That's why now I made a decision. I'm going to stay on my channel only, because I have the ability to at least set a certain tone and attract certain types of people, right? Who may, let me see what you wrote. Oh, you didn't get the notification? I don't know. Did you turn on the notification bell? I think the notification bell would be obsessed. Yeah, you know what? I'm either interested in something or I'm not interested. But I don't fake interest anymore, right? As a child, I had to fake interest here and there. But now I'm so happy to be able to say, I'm all in, or don't bother me. So my beautiful artwork is now on the wall, and you can see it. You did? Okay, great. You know, wow. Okay, people are coming in. I will wait a little bit, guys, because now I want to talk to you about a very important. Um, I want to speak about something that I recognized in the beginning with Daniel's interview and also Katie Proudfoot. And I initially marked it as a sensitivity until just recently. It was only a sensitivity. And I encourage you guys, when you look at the sensitivity part here, I circled it because anything that stands out to you, I don't care what it is. And please forget any channel you listen to, forget Ninchi, forget all of this, forget oh my God, I got a headache right now. Forget all of this. Listen to your own intuition and listen to the statements from the people who make the statements. If you believe they have knowledge that is worth your while, listen to them. no matter what it is, it doesn't mean you have to immediately come to a conclusion. Whenever somebody speaks that may have, or it's been indicated to you, this person may have some knowledge of what has taken place in the event that you are investigating. If something doesn't flow well, if it's a written statement, you underline it. If it's spoken, if it's a video, timestamp it. Maybe you will never get back to it, but maybe you will get back to it 4 months later. And all of a sudden, it makes perfect sense. As has been the case with Daniel's statements about him running through the woods and all the things. Remember, he told us where he looked, right? He looked everywhere. Hi, Rosebud. Welcome back. This is my calling, Daphne. Danik. This is really my call. No, I have more callings maybe. But, statement analysis is actually the entry point into life in general, in my opinion, because it gives us the insight into people. And the real insight. And sometimes it's really hard that we have to recognize how much we have been deceived when we were children. Sometimes we have to accept the fact that we have been taught very wrong from an early age. And we have to face reality. And the two words I detest, number one is opinion. Opinion is far too broad, and opinion is often used to discredit research. I call it thought. I have thoughts, and a thought needs to be explained, and a thought needs to be presented. This is how I have come to my thought. When Chris Proudfoot talks about everybody has an opinion, no, dude, maybe you do, because your mindlessness has been on display for over a year, right? I put effort into what I do. And so do many of you. I put deep effort into it. And I just came on because I was presented with mindlessness, and I realized, oh my God, before I always think I'm not ready to come on. And then I realized, oh my God, if people listen to this, even at my worst. So Chris Proudfoot talks about opinions. Daniel also tries to dismiss, people's thoughts as opinions. And the other term I detest, and that's been overused, is theory. You have your theory. That is a very dismissive statement when you do that, because you don't know if the person just turned on the TV and pulled something out of their ass, or maybe that person has spent 5 weeks, 12 hours a day researching it and presents you with something that is very, very, very close to exactly what took place, right? So when you have a very broad label, when you talk when you talk about theorists, being a theorist means that you get so involved in your own theory, you don't want to let go of it, period. And it also indicates that you don't need evidence to hold on to it, which can include you being out of your mind. And be very careful with people who try to label you. Because a theorist can be somebody that says, aliens landed on the White House lawn and had a discussion with Donald Trump and they, whatever, you know what I mean? Be very, very, very careful. The term theory, I like to replace with possibility. I will do my best to remember not to use the term theory anymore. And I don't think I have been using it for quite a while. When I'm talking about the power lines, and by the way, I don't think Daniel went west to the Fundy Bay. I don't think so. I think he went up north, and his two pipeline buddies live up north, and he may have traveled up north. He may have even stopped at one of the houses and gotten some more gasoline on the way there or on the way back. I believe he went closer to home where he is familiar. I don't think he traveled the power lines all the way down there. And the person who alerted me about the power lines also, strangely, a day ago, messaged me and said, you know what? Now that you presented what I told you, or what I informed you about, I don't think he went west. It's too far. Hour and a half? No gas? He had buddies up in the New Glasgow area. The pipeline boys are there, right? And by the way, I don't think he would have had to refuel. I don't think so. But just in case he would have to, I want to hear from these two guys. You know what I mean? These two dudes have serious answers. Wow, not many people watching now. But that can come. All right, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to take you back to a few statements made by Katie Proudfoot. Wow, thank you so much. And I will only from now on, I will only spend time on my own channel. Because now the real information is coming my way. And yes, I love to inspire people. And you know what's great? The greatest thing is when I inspire somebody to inspire me back. And that's been happening quite a bit. Yes, I said in several hours, but then I realized that somebody played Ninchi, and I said, please. I saw the title of a video, all the theories. What theories? We don't have theories. If we have possibilities, we do not enter. When somebody says, I'm going to present you with different theories, it means they don't have a fucking clue about anything. Because I narrow down possibilities. That's what I am here for, right? I don't let my mind wander off unless I have nothing. Unless my mind is blank. Then maybe I will look at other channels and say, oh, maybe it's true. Maybe you know what I mean. Enough of this bullshit. Enough of it. This was my last straw earlier on. And now I'm going to present to you a few things that I have missed previously. And we have to allow ourselves to be who we are. Because most of the people who are statement analysts, they're not that great. The people who are truly intuitive and truly interested in the craft will outdo the seasoned ones who are, just keeping their position any day. And that is why I'm now going to show you some things that you don't expect from parents of missing children. If your child is missing, you will not be able to tell people, I looked everywhere. You will think about the few possibilities, the few places you may not have looked. That's what's going to be on your mind. If somebody asks you, what have you been doing today? You are not going to say, I've looked everywhere, because that is also a dismissive sort of statement. What have you done? Your daughter's missing. Well, I looked everywhere. That's what you say when you already have given up. That means I am done. I'm done. My work is done. There's nothing left for me, right? Oh, wow. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, and you know what? The old days are gone. 20 years ago, I did YouTube videos about some else, and people have said, keep it 15 minutes only. But the truth of the matter is that I look at the chat. Oh, shit. What is PLAIDS? Okay, one moment. Thank you for asking. One moment, guys. I'm getting to it. What is PLAIDS? PLAIDS is what we apply at all times. It's sort of, it's like a hack. No, it's not a hack. It's actually reality. Because statement analysis has never been taught properly in terms of making it as simple as it actually is. Because a lot of instructors overcomplicate it to make themselves look more useful, when in reality they don't completely understand it. And that is, unfortunately, a fact with most teachers. Teaching is something that's very passionate to me, because in my early years, I was in a position where I learned how to teach. A relative who had difficulty learning, who everybody had given up on. And I realized that I was able to do things naturally as a child that others have claimed there was no hope for, right? And I always had, my case is very different, like my upbringing is very different from most upbringings, where I realized I lost respect very early for the people I was supposed to respect. And I gained a lot of respect for the people who others had given up on, because I always recognized potential. And potential gets hindered by, self-doubt, but oftentimes when people listen to the wrong people and let them tell them what to believe, what to pay attention to, and what to think about in terms of who they themselves are. And PLAIDS is the the compact efficiency version that encompasses everything statement analysis is about as the entry point. An entry point when somebody hands you a three-piece, now I'm using three, but two or three piece, it's fictional. But if somebody hands you, as in my case, a one and a half pages of statements, and analysts tend to say, okay, I will get to it. And they prepare 20 or 30 pages with the analysis without prioritizing properly. A lot of time gets wasted. So we want to know, what are the priorities of the person who makes a statement? Is there leakage? Is there avoidance? Avoidance is huge. Avoidance is a form of deception, but avoidance is very significant because it actually takes us to where we want to investigate further. Chris Proudfoot, prime example. I cannot talk about this. Police told me not to talk about this, and so on, right? That's exactly where we want to go deeper. The intentions, this is my number one. And intentions may come later, but we don't want to pressure ourselves in terms of saying, well, what are the intentions? I need to come up with one. Never do that, ever. Deception, I think that's a given. And sensitivity is anything that stands out to you. You want to mark as a sensitivity. Underline it, timestamp it. And my tagline is, so, thanks to the person who has leaked so much information. Janie McKenzie talked about Daniel talking too much. And then she goes on talking even more. No more background noise. Let me read your comments. Leakage doesn't sound good. Yes, verbal leakage, Krista. Verbal leakage. And by the way, yes, Jordan sent me that message. It's not a hoax. Well, he tried to hoax me. I can go back to it and refresh my page and click on messages, as I have done. Why did he send it? Well, there's probably other people around. If it doesn't sound like his voice, there's probably 2 or 3 people there. Anyhow, anywho. Okay, now people are coming in. Good. No, actually, Janie made it worse. You know why? Because Daniel said he was looking through all the culverts. He looked through everything. Remember that? And many of you have already, in the beginning, stated something doesn't sound right about that. And you were not sure why. And I was not sure why either. But I knew it was a huge sensitivity. Because bragging about what you have done while there is no result, meaning the children have not been found, is absolutely ludicrous. And the question is, why did he do that? And when somebody says, I searched everywhere, it is a very strong indicator that they actually didn't search anywhere except a certain area they don't want people to know about. And in Daniel's case, it was a pipeline. He wanted you to think he searched everywhere because the one place and the only place he searched for hours. And Daniel, if you're listening, thank your stupid ass mama for telling me what you have successfully avoided. And maybe you should no longer let your mama, you know, okay, I guess the Bible says listen to your mama, but you know what? Um, Maybe your mama isn't always right. Maybe your mama is extremely confused because you worked very hard on it. You told us you searched everywhere, all the culverts, all of this, and none of this. You haven't done any of that. None of it, dude. None. Zero, zip, zilch. The one thing that you didn't mention was the pipeline area. And my question is, how did your two friends from the New Glasgow area know how to find you? And now I realize something. I'm looking back at the map. And this is very important, people, because apparently the crime and shame map was completely fucking wrong. What a surprise, right? What a surprise. I will never listen to that channel again unless there's something really important coming up, happening, occurring, and so on. But I'm going to look now through my Facebook message to see the distance from the spot where the items were found on the pipeline, guys. And I will read it to you while I'm looking at my private messages. Because some of the best things I get from people who tell me, I live right there. And I don't want to be known. He sends me, okay, the blanket location to Earth is 290 meters. 290 meters is, I think, 330 yards. You see, you Canadians, you seem to be able to, think metric and think the American version. The blanket location was about 290 meters from where Earl lived, and also Earl's property. From what I understand, the pipeline goes through there. And from Ron Mackenzie's house, 170 meters, which is about 200 yards. So, this would be where the blanket was actually found, guys. And again, now I have the right people sending me information. And before, well, now I have no more excuse to listen to crime and shame or any of these people, right? And I'm so happy about that. Let me get back my my life. Cool. So how did everybody know where Daniel was going to be? Well, on Thursday night, I think it's possible. Maybe Daniel saw these two guys or one of them. Maybe they got him some gasoline. but I'm sure he tried to reach from Earth's house where the ATV was. He tried to reach the power line. He tried to reach the power line, people. And I do believe that his destination was north. I believe that he tried to reach this power line to go up here and then go towards the New Glasgow area and get the bodies to go into the international sea, guys. That's what I think happened. So far, this is the closest, because I don't think that he went all the way an hour and a half towards the Fundy Basin, because he would have had to get gasoline. And again, the two pipeline boys live right up here. Very close. New Glasgow area, Westville. And I believe he went up there. More familiar territory, not too far away from home. So how did they know how to find him at the pipeline? Well, they probably parked their cars at Earl's house, maybe Ron's, but probably Earl's house. They were all in on it together, on covering up something. They may have not known the exact details of what took place, but I think they're the types of people who come together and say, you know what? He needs us. I don't think any of them likes police. I have mentioned one of them. I have talked about, he had his history with law enforcement where, possession. These people had similar hobbies. They covered for each other. And they have many unwritten rules within these circles. And don't talk to police is a given. Whatever slogans they have, like snitches get stitches or some shit like that, right? But I believe that there is a certain mentality. So if you ask, how can it be that maybe 10 people keep their mouth shut? Well, certain people do not talk to police. It's just how it is. And I believe now, if you watched my last video, you realize that we are dealing with certain people who will not speak with police. They had their problems with police. They had their issues. Hi, Kalisa. Kalisa, it is Jack and Lily, but it's like Jack and Lily 4.4. It is who was there at the pipeline removing evidence? Because I believe Daniel went, transported the children, the ATV, got the ATV from Earl, his father's house, where it was. There's a reason, Janie said. I don't let Daniel drive the ATV. Okay, Daniel is a chaotic guy. And I believe he tried to get to the power lines where it is easy to drive the ATV without having to take the main road. But something happened. I believe the ATV actually tipped over. I believe it was very difficult terrain to get through somewhere around here. Because that was where we found the boot print, guys. And why? Now, this is a very hard subject matter to get into. But maybe everything slipped off the ATV. And maybe one of the children's feet with the boot on, I don't know, touched the ground. These are possibilities. I don't have theories. Theories are, I rather let the truth come to me little by little. I'm exploring the possibilities right now. And there's a huge possibility that things tipped over. One of the children's boot prints was left. And other items went down the ATV. And it was pitch black dark, but Daniel had to continue getting rid of the bodies. And that is why in the morning, the first thing that he thought about was go back there. Remember his statement in the beginning? He said there is hardly any evidence. Hardly. Chris Proudfoot told us there is no evidence whatsoever. Daniel said there is hardly any evidence. And I know he found and removed a lot of evidence from that spot. And his two bodies came all the way down there. And let's listen to his statement again. He talks about searching everywhere. All day long, he was only in one spot. For hours, he was there. Justin and Janie came down with the ATV, picked him up, drove around, and brought him right back down there. There was no other place. When Daniel said, I looked everywhere, it is because he looked nowhere else. Nowhere else did he look. There was no other area of interest for him. None whatsoever, people. Zip. And I want to know what these dudes were driving. So, I hope I got this already. I had it ready earlier, and then I took a break and I said, fuck breaks. I want to know what happened. That is why I'm now going to revisit. Well, let me go back to, let me first go to Daniel, and then I go to Katie Proudfoot. And you'll be able to see some similarities here, some very huge ones.
I mean, ever since the Friday morning, when we noticed that the children were gone.
And he doesn't stutter. He only stutters when something is really significant, guys.
Immediately jumped in the vehicle, surveyed all the areas, many dirt roads, many culverts as I could, and waited for the police to get there.
Right. No, you didn't, dude. He is giving us a reason why he was gone all day. Because he was the only one absent from the home throughout the day. So he wants to use this fake dedication for the children as an excuse. He was avoiding law enforcement big time, because when he came back to the property, he saw them there. He didn't want to park anywhere near them. He wanted to get rid of the vehicle so he can walk through the woods and not have his vehicle parked there. And I believe his friends, when they came down, they probably parked at Earl's house, which was maybe 300 yards away. And Ron's house was about 200 yards away. And from what I've been told, the pipeline actually goes through Earl's property. So I believe the vehicles of his friends were actually parked at his father's house. And what he told them, and by the way, I want to have Earl's phone records. Earl Martell. I would love to know his phone records. Did Daniel use Earl's phone that night to call any of his friends? Or the next day? That's what I'm interested in. Did you go? That's what I'm interested in, guys. I'm interested in the people who have the answers, not people who have theories. I look at possibilities here. And one of the most important things is that, we are not theorists. We are not stuck on a theory. We are stuck on the end goal, finding out what happened to Jack and Lily. But listen to this avoidance. Listen to what he's doing.
First day I wasn't around much because I was just searching.
Immediately, he's talking about he wasn't around very much. So he recognizes this may be a concern. This may raise suspicion. Everybody was at the house, right? He wasn't. Where was he? What was so important for him to do? He's very preemptive right here.
I was running through the woods, screaming their name till my throat hurt.
Yeah, okay. You were screaming at one point, but not that day.
Searching. We covered everywhere possible.
No. You will never say everywhere possible. Everywhere, if your children are missing and you say, I searched everywhere, no, that is a huge red flag, people. If your children are missing, you will never say, I searched everywhere. Never. You will think about that one place you could have missed. And you will say, let me go back there. Maybe the children are there now. Maybe they were walking around the area. And at the time I got there, they were not there. And they were actually walking back to the other area. And maybe now I should do it in reverse. You will not be able to rest. To say I searched everywhere, it indicates that you know exactly where the children are. And you know the children are not there. Well, I searched everywhere. They're not there. Conclusion. I know what happened. This is language that indicates knowledge of what took place, guys. Make no mistake about this whatsoever. None. Right? And I realized why I wasn't able to listen to Ninchi more than 2 minutes. Oh my God, I will never make this mistake again. My head is hurting. Listen to the statements. And by the way, I don't have a Ouija board. I don't do tarot cards. I don't summon the spirits of my dead ancestors and ask them, did you see Daniel that night? I listen. I listen closely. And your mom, Daniel, she told us she picked you up from the pipeline. She knew exactly where to go. You had been there for hours, and you were with your two friends. And after that, she brought you right back there to the same area. While you are claiming you searched everywhere, you were interested in only this one location because I believe you made it, you tried to make it to the power lines from your father's property. And somehow maybe your ATV tipped over. You didn't want to use the main road. And there was hardly any evidence. You didn't say there was no evidence. You said there's hardly any evidence. And I believe that the day after, you removed, with the help of your friends, very crucial evidence. And that's why you feel the need to thank Officer Oliver so much. It's unnecessary because it didn't result in you finding Jack and Lily. But this is a priority right here. Your priority was not Jack and Lily. Your priority was evidence in your own language. In the very beginning statements, you talked about evidence. That is your priority. What evidence do they have? And I hate to say it, but you were successful. You were very successful, Daniel. But now we know why your statement sounded so strange to us in the very beginning.
Even in the first day we did, even with me running through the woods, I was ahead of the...
Even the first day we did, he pauses. He doesn't finish the sentence. When somebody doesn't finish a sentence, ask yourself, what could he have wanted to say? No matter what it is. Remember, we analyzed Chris Proudfoot's statement about the empty room where Sebastian used to sleep? When they interrupt their own sentence, or they have a little pause and then conclude the sentence in a nonsensical manner to where the second part and the first part do not connect, stop right before it stops making sense, and then explore the possibility of what was going through his mind that he would have said had he followed the flow of his own experiential memory.
Helicopters and head of the drones and stuff like that.
Of course, he wanted to beat them to it. He didn't want to be seen by helicopters or the drones. But we covered this already.
Screaming as loud as I can.
Right.
Until my throat hurt. Running.
And just until my throat hurt running. Yeah, there was screaming at night on Thursday. I believe you. Running.
Through water that was up to my waist.
And I believe you did that night. Not running through water, but it probably felt like running through water. Because your mind was racing and it felt like you were racing. Absolutely, guys. Hey, Chasa, I missed your comment. I want to read your comment for sure. It's where he was still searching on the second day. Yes, day 2. It was thought at the same time. That's because that's where search and rescue found evidence of the... Absolutely. I have no doubt. He was searching there day 1 and day 2. And that was the only place where Daniel was focused. The only place was this fucking pipeline, guys. That was the only place he was worried about. Nothing else. He oversold what he did. I searched everywhere. When I asked her, did you do your homework? you know, when she says, yes, I did, I believe you. When she says, uh, let me try to remember, yes, I did everything, I swear. I'm closing my eyes and I exhale very slowly, like, how do I teach a 7-year-old statement analysis? How do I explain to her properly why I know she's bullshitting me? And immediately she asks, why? You don't believe me? And then I ask her, remember last week you had an A in math and you did your homework? Remember I asked you? You remember what you answered? She says, I told you I did it. Yeah. What did you tell me now? I said I did it. I said, no, that's not what you told me. Tell me what you said. And then she comes clean immediately. And I think, and to be honest with you, and I say to be honest with you because there are different reasons people say to be honest with you. And I said it before about crime and shame. She always says to be honest all the time because she's bullshitting people half the time. So in her case, when she says to be honest with you, it means, I've been bullshitting you so much that you don't have a reason to believe me. But this time I really mean it. And sometimes people say it because it's just an urgency thing. In my case, I'm thinking I shouldn't tell you this, right? But the only thing I really care in my daughter's learning is math and English at this time, right? Social science and all of that, don't care too much about it. You know what I mean? So I have a very different philosophy about life than most people. And, so I'm thinking in the back of my mind, it's going to alienate people that want to. But, I care about math because math is the entry point into all sciences and good. Anyways, so as you can see, it's right up there. So you don't see it well, right? I'm going to add an extra light to this. What I'm saying is every single thing that we say has a meaning. We have 20 to 30,000 words available to us. And then the combination of the words and the pronouns, and then the order that can indicate distancing and so on. There are no coincidences in our language, guys, right? And I will compare this in a minute to Katie Proudfoot. What she said happened that morning. And I know Sebastian had already either his lifeless body or very severely hurt body had been removed by that car we saw pulling up in the middle of the night. And Nick Barris reported on that initially. He later retracted. And even Seth claimed, oh, it was just a trash truck. It wasn't. It wasn't. Law enforcement told him that. Well, we go by the essential truth, the de facto truth. That's what we are looking for, the de facto truth, meaning we want to know the exact events that took place, regardless of how the law or the legal procedures later may interpret it. In other words, we have to distance ourselves from a lot of linguistic predispositions that have been put up on us and only look for the facts. Only the facts matter. And allow the language of the other, of the subject, to lead us there. And it always does. It always does. It never fails, people. Never.
And as soon as I got back, I wasn't allowed back in the woods until a man dressed in a military outfit said I could go back and do it.
And you know, that's a lot more emotional than when he talked about Jack and Lily. He had so much stress because he knew he dropped a bunch of stuff. And yes, I believe there's a big possibility, a huge possibility. He went up north and stopped by a friend's house. There's a big possibility there. And he went somewhere from there to the ocean area.
The woods.
Their stepfather did.
Okay, let's go to Katie Proudfoot for 1 second, and it will blow your mind when I compare this. And please give me 1 second, I need some coffee. So,
About midnight, I got up and I went to bed.
about midnight, I got up and I went to bed, right? Now, we know the car pulled up. The timestamp was around 3 a.m. It could have been off a little bit. One person was running back to the car. We saw that.
And 6 o'clock, I went to wake him up for school Monday morning.
6 o'clock, I went to wake him up for school Monday morning. Later, we learned she got up at 6. Okay? Remember that. Her alarm went off at 6 a.m. Remember this, guys. Let's listen.
And that's when he wasn't here.
That's when he wasn't here. She tries to sell the 6 a.m. timestamp as the time that she first realized Sebastian wasn't there. And that is a huge deception indicator, covering the fact that he had been gone for hours. And it's interesting, they had so many references to digging. Now, in the case of Daniel and Malaya, and even Janie, there was so many water references. They have digging and bulldozer references. And then you see here in the picture, there is the crane, the toy crane. They have that even there. And Chris Proudfoot is so easy to read, but you know, that's not admissible in court. That's when he wasn't here. She's trying to sell the timestamp. And that indicates, no, that is not when she realized Sebastian wasn't there.
What was
หลักๆแล้วคือยังคง
Yeah. Come on, man. Stupid ass commercials. Okay.
going through your mind at that point? Like, what were the feelings that you were feeling? To censor myself? Holy freaking crap, this can't.
You wouldn't censor yourself if your child is missing. You would be so on edge, it wouldn't matter to you. And she is too eloquent about it, right? To censor myself. Holy freaking crap, this can't be
happening. Where is my kid?
That's storytelling.
Choice words were used.
Choice words were used. Choice words. There's too much thought. In the moment of such desperation, that much thought is not expected, guys. At all.
Like, where the F is he?
No. And Katie Proudfoot is a sociopath. She is able to lie better than most people. But she's also terrified of being found out more than most people. Meaning that even the slightest lie, she is afraid of being discovered because she has developed a pattern in her early childhood where almost her whole life became a lie. And I mentioned some of the abuse that she has endured herself. Everything in her case is a facade. If you discover one lie, you break her pattern wide open. A sociopath can be detected linguistically by the extreme fear of being caught in a lie, even if the lie is minor, because that discovery can break open the doors to a pattern they have developed that is very, very present in their lives, where lying is a part of their persona, the image they portray to the outside. Now,
I had looked through the house for him because it
I had looked through the house for him, okay, because
was typical for him to get up and.
Okay, so if it was typical for him to get up and
come and rummage for snacks and things like that.
So why were choice words used? Why were you panicking? There's a huge contradiction here. You are completely contradicting yourself. Because you should walk down slowly and say, Sebastian, where are you, Sebastian? I know you're hiding somewhere. Okay, I'm going to make my coffee. I'm going in a shower. Sebastian, and then little by little, you should realize that maybe something could be wrong, right? A huge contradiction, guys. Very, very huge one. And by the way, now listen to this one.
That, and he likes to dip behind the walls. And
so dip could be a sensitivity. I mark dip as a sensitivity. What exactly it refers to, I don't know yet. But do I ignore it? Absolutely not. I will not ignore this. A huge sensitivity in my opinion. And until things come full circle, I'm not going to address it. I'm not going to go there. But it has to be at the forefront in PLAIDS. It has to be right there. And she says, you know, walls. Well, you know? No, I don't know. That indicates the dipping can also refer to something other than walls. Remember this one. If we get more information from her, if there are more interviews, if there is more leakage. I know he fell out of bed at 10 p.m. I know his face hit the floor. I know he either died or was severely hurt. I know in the middle of the night, a car pulled up to remove him. And I know that something connected to him was taken to the retention pond. And I also know from avoidance that the properties of his family are a very sensitive area from the Bauer success.
You know, and then he comes out after I come back.
He comes, okay, this is present tense.
And he likes to scare me.
So she's not talking about certain events, she's talking very general. And that is an indication she is very scripted right now, trying to sell something that she knows didn't take place.
But
She says, but it means ignore the BS I just told you guys. Ignore all of it. Let me refresh your comments one moment. All right, so.
after I looked, and I mean, mind you, all of this took place in like 1 minute flat.
In 1 minute flat, did you hear that? All of this took place in 1 minute flat. Did you hear what took place in 1 minute flat, guys? Looking through the house, outside of the doors, looking everywhere. Mind you, her alarm went off at 6 a.m. and she called her husband, Chris Proudfoot, at 6:03. I don't know about you. Your alarm goes off. How long does it take you from your alarm going off to actually standing up? The first thing that I do, I go to the restroom.
Working on these.
That is the first thing that I do, guys. I go to the restroom. So let's say my alarm goes off at 6. I stand up maybe at 6:01, some change, right? I go to the restroom. It would already be 6:03 to knock on my child's door or go in there to wake my child up. You know, if I skip taking a shower, if I, you know. She called Chris Proudfoot at 6:03, guys. 6:03. Why? Because none of what she claimed she had done, she did. She hadn't done none of this. She hadn't looked through anything. When somebody tells you, I looked everywhere, there's a very good chance they haven't looked anywhere. It is overselling that they searched. You would say, I searched around, and I grabbed the phone and I called 911. I searched and I couldn't find my son, and I called 911. But she called Chris Proudfoot at 6:03, and it wasn't until 30 minutes later that a number, we don't know yet what it is, a non-emergency line. It could be maybe a friend or relative, from what I have come to understand. That has been informed. Because they wanted to make sure this would be treated as just another simple runaway case. In like 1 minute flat, she's trying to fit all of the things she claimed she had done into a time frame that would make it possible for her to wake up at 6 and call her husband at 6:03. This couldn't have been done in 1 minute flat. And the fact that she says flat indicates her need to sell this 1 minute and make it a definitive. It couldn't have been longer. I am so certain about this time. You wouldn't be certain about this time at all. If your child is missing and you're panicking, you would not know if it was 1 minute or 10 minutes. The intensity of the situation would be the only thing. But what she is trying to do is making the absurd time frame possible in the minds of those who have been listening to her previous interviews.
But I didn't see him in his room. I looked all over. I ran through the whole house.
I looked all over. Well, she doesn't say I looked everywhere, but all over is a very similar type of statement. I'm done. I looked all over. I ran through the whole
house. I looked out all the doors and windows, and I was like,
right, in 1 minute flat, right?
hollering his name and
all the dramatizing. And look at Chris Foot right here. He's getting ready to cough in a little while. Because you know what? She's far more intelligent than him, but he has actually more common sense, if you will. And he knows her weaknesses. And that's what she likes about him. He fills in her blanks. She can rely on him because she knows her limits.
I picked up the phone and I called my husband and I said,
Right. Mind you, alarm 6 a.m. All of this, standing up, going to the bathroom maybe, right? Walking to her son's room, entering the room. He's not there. Not unusual because he likes to dip behind the walls, right? She looked everywhere, everywhere. And at 6:03, she's on the phone with him. Of course she's on the phone with him at 6:03. Because that's the first thing she did when she woke up. She maybe had a little bit of sleep. Woke up. And that phone call lasted for a long while. And it wasn't until 30 minutes later that actually somebody connected to law enforcement was phoned. What were you talking about? You were discussing how to proceed. It was D-Day coming. This was the moment where you had to be on stage, guys. And I said,
I can't find him, and he said,
I can't find him. She's avoiding mentioning his name.
what do you mean? I said, he's not in this effing house.
Right. I'm sure that's how you talk.
We can't find our son. And
Our son, not my son, not Sebastian, our son. There's unity between those two. And the unity is also against Sebastian, as it has been, as we have later on learned.
I jumped in my car and
When you say, and I like is minimizing people. I guess I did. If it was that intense and you really jumped in your car, you wouldn't say I like. You wouldn't say I ran to my car and I drove. You wouldn't even have to mention the process of jumping into your car. That is unnecessary information. You would go straight to I drove. Right? Remember what Peter Hyatt talked about. I went to the store. The unnecessary information would be, I left my house and I went to the store. You have to leave your house to go to the store. You have to enter your car in order to drive. That is dramatizing something that didn't happen. And when she mentions I like, No. She's already balancing herself. She's balancing away from the drama she's about to create and telling you this didn't really happen. To make it easier for her to maintain the fabrication of intensity. Yes, she entered her car. I will show you in a minute what she actually did. In case that you are new to the channel or don't remember exactly how it all took place.
drove the neighborhood and I drove over by the school.
All around, did everything.
And he's already
And she moves her hand towards her throat, similar to what Chris Watts did. That also is a huge sensitivity right here.
at this point
It is not officially a part of statement analysis, but I consider all sensitivities, pattern changes, a necessity to be included in sensitivities in general. And PLAIDS goes beyond statement analysis as we have been taught, right? Because we need to see the bigger picture here. And there's a great saying that I'm trying to remember from Professor Feynman, the mathematician, the great teacher, who said, man creates physics, chemistry, mathematics. Man creates all these different categories, but nature doesn't know about it. In nature, it's all one. Everything that you pick up on, let nobody talk you out of. When there's a significant pattern change, don't ignore it. Mark it. Market people. Don't pass it by. Don't let it pass you by. It's an opportunity to get you to an area that may turn out to be very crucial eventually.
like hysterical and I was crying.
I was like hysterical. Minimizing. How can you minimize in this situation when your son is gone?
Screaming. And
And this is him signaling her, I believe. I believe he is telling her that way, you're overdoing it now. Because he knows her. He knows her patterns. And now listen to how she gets stuck.
he was like,
Look at this.
three-wayed. He three-wayed.
Yep. Now she has to go back to script because she was overselling to the point where it was Chris needed to point out to her, this is too much. Symbolic kick under the table. Absolutely. Absolutely, guys. Chris let her know, stop. This is not working. You see, Chris is far less intelligent than her. Far less. But she gets so carried away.
Law enforcement and was telling them like our son is missing and we don't know.
Like our son is missing. Would you say that? Hey, law enforcement. Hey, 911. What's your emergency? Okay, like, no, dude. That's not what you're gonna say. You're gonna be like the waves were like 20 feet high, bro. Like for real, bro. You know, that's when you use like. When you minimize an exaggeration. Many times exaggeration is very common in socially accepted linguistics. And sometimes we add like or something else to minimize it because we know this is really bullshit. But it creates an inner balance, a type of inner balance where we indicate, okay, I don't want to I'm not intending to lie to you. I know that I am, technically speaking, but I am minimizing this right now because this is not really what happened, right? This is not accurate what I'm telling you right now. Our son is missing. He's like missing, like kind of missing, right? Except we know what happened to him. But this is not what we want to talk about.
What's going on? And he was like, go back to the house. They're on their way. And I drove back.
Drove back. And I believe she did run back to her house. And we saw that actually in the tape of when the car pulled up in the middle of the night. We saw a person running back to the house. And I believe that was her. And that was experiential memory leaking in right there.
To the house. And 20 days later, we haven't found him.
And this is how she ends it. Back on script. And her facial
yeah, I can't even imagine how stressful that is. And also, like when we were driving up here, like this neighborhood is so pretty and nice. And
well, let me show you some else. Because we want to know what she actually did when she claims that she has been panicky, right? She was extremely panicky and she was searching everywhere and driving around and everything was so important, guys. So I want to know from this one channel, it's called Evil Exists. And this is a channel that has been pretty strong in terms of, the voice I think is AI. but they have been quite good at highlighting a few things. Let me see if I find it real quick to see if she actually searched. What did she actually do? And you heard how she tried to portray panic, an urgency that didn't exist. And here we go. I hope that's it. I think that's it. Yeah, it's not it. Oh yeah, it is. Wait a minute.
Katie Proudfoot did a new interview with Dateline, and some of the information caught my attention. A few weeks ago, there was a picture of Katie driving around the area on the morning Sebastian vanished. Something to note in this picture is that her windows were up. If she was searching for him, don't you think her windows would be down?
Yeah. And this is something I mentioned before. Her windows were up. She went there because she knew she had to be seen on camera somewhere driving. That is why she went in her car. She didn't want people to know that she already knows, and there's no need to search. She didn't want people to know that she knows she wouldn't be able to find Sebastian. So it's easy for her to say, I searched all over. All over, as in everywhere, means case closed. There's nothing else to be searched for. That's it. He's not there. Very similar to Daniel. I searched everywhere, all the culverts, everything. Right? He wasn't specific about where exactly he searched, where he drove around, because he already knew nothing was going to be found, guys. Nothing was going to be found.
And she would be screaming his name as she drove about. Reminds me of Trezor West, to be honest. Anyway, that image was the talk of the town, because many online sleuths compared it to the behavior of the Wests, who didn't seem like they were searching, because they knew exactly what happened to those precious boys.
I mentioned them a few times, right? He mentioned the boys are rambunctious. And Chris Proudfoot said the same thing about Sebastian. When they blame a victim, they are telling you why, in their opinion, the child caused their own disappearance, that they caused. He had a problem with his adoptive sons being rambunctious, from his point of view, guys. He is telling you, by excusing what he did, why, from his own point of view, the children are no longer here. They were being rambunctious. It annoyed me. Remember when Janie keeps talking about Jack being defensive with her? She is trying to give you a reason for why Daniel had gotten so mad. She is trying to tell you that Daniel had a reason to do what he did. I have laid it out in the meantime that I believe Daniel was, there was a pressure cooker. And they were in the habit of blaming Jack and Lily for just about everything. And she continues with that. She continues to try to sell to us her thought that Jack and Lily put this up on themselves, what happened, in order to protect Daniel. And Daniel did what he could to try to tell you what he supposedly did that day, to excuse why he was feeling the need to go back out there. He didn't mention the pipeline. Janie did. Janie mentioned friends being there. That's what brings me to Adam and Chance. All I have to do is listening. The people who know, they will tell us. There is no need for us to, we need to know what Chance lays. And Adam, I forgot his name. Adam some shit. I'm making sure only to show you where is he at? The pipeline boys. What are they driving? And we need to also remember what Belinda said. There are 2 sheds in the back. Everything is cluttered on the property. Everything is crowded. Everything is full of garbage everywhere. But there was 1 shed in the back, not big enough, or not, an ATV couldn't have fit in there, from what she said. And it was completely empty, and it stood out. And one of the cabins up there, they had a brand new lock on it. These are things that stood out to her. So why were there 6 trips? Did he tell them cops are going to be there early in the morning? You can have all of my equipment to allegedly produce a substance or whatever. Just pick it up. I don't know. It's very interesting how tight-lipped the RCMP is. And I do believe they made huge mistakes that they don't want to admit to. But you know what? I'll be back on later. I just wanted to make sure that before you guys hear anything that's going into different areas and your minds are going to be led into different directions, that you don't lose focus of the people who may have answers. The pipeline boys. Thank you very much, guys. I will be back in a few hours.